Hello everyone, this is PTW Animations, and today we are back with another video. Now, last time you saw we did a roster video, it was going over the roster for Brutality. Now this is the roster for PTW's other brand, Breakdown. Breakdown, the blue brand, lots of exciting superstars on this roster, lots of guys who have either returned to PTW or made their debut since the last time we had a video like this. So let's get started with the PTW Breakdown roster coming out of Wrestlemania 3. Now first up, we're going to start with our champions, and that means our World Heavyweight Champion, the Swiss Superman Cesaro. He's got that beautiful belt around his waist. He won that championship all the way back at the Armageddon pay-per-view when he cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase, and Cesaro has been an excellent champion, defending the title against guys like Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, and Daniel Bryan. He defended it against Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 3 in what was an excellent matchup. He has had one of the better title reigns in all of PTW so far in all its history, I would say. So, very great champion, the World Heavyweight Champion, Cesaro. And up next, right next to him, we have our Intercontinental Champion, Andrade. Andrade, relatively new superstar to PTW, who has made a pretty quick rise to success. He made his debut as the number 2 entrant in the Royal Rumble, this past Royal Rumble, joined alongside with Bobby Heenan, and we'll talk more about that and the whole Heenan family later on. But with Heenan by his side, and Andrade was quickly able to find success, and he won the Intercontinental Championship in a surprise main event on Breakdown. He defeated the former champion Rob Van Dam to win that title. Many thought Rob Van Dam was going to walk into WrestleMania 3 with that Intercontinental Championship, but Andrade beat him for it on an episode of Breakdown, and that sort of threw a wrench into those plans. But at WrestleMania 3, Andrade successfully defended the Intercontinental title in a triple threat match against Rob Van Dam and Apollo Crews. Now up next, we have all these guys up here together because this is, as we mentioned, one of the most dominant factions on Breakdown, the Heenan family. Managed by Bobby the Brain Heenan, we have Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, the Intercontinental Champion Andrade, and Wade Barrett. Now this faction, I've been very excited to have a faction in PTW because I have just not booked a faction really, except for like the Wyatt family, and maybe you can count the New Day, but that's not really like an original idea or an original faction. I feel like this is PTW's first like real original big faction that we've got, and it started back with just Randy Orton and Bobby Heenan. Orton, of course, one of the most decorated superstars in PTW history. He was the first ever PTW champion, but he and Bobby Heenan ended up joining forces, and later they recruited more people, including Andrade, who debuted as Heenan's new client, and then later on Wade Barrett, who made his return in the Royal Rumble, joined the Heenan family, and then Drew McIntyre, who made his debut shortly after, also joined the Heenan family by turning on Cody Rhodes. That's something else we'll get to later. But at WrestleMania 3, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, and Wade Barrett, the Heenan family, defeated the team of Cody Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, and Dolph Ziggler in a 6-man tag match. So the Heenan family coming out of WrestleMania is stronger than ever. They went 2-0 at that show, and the faction is just running rampant on the blue brand Breakdown. We will see if anyone steps up to stop them. Next, we have Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan, another one of the best superstars in the history of PTW, a former PTW champion, but during his run on Breakdown, he has been very different. Bryan has been a heel character, just wanting for the best technical wrestling possible. And so during this run, he has had excellent technical style matches. including where he challenged for the World Heavyweight Championship against Cesaro at WrestleMania 3. Unfortunately for him, he was unsuccessful in defeating Cesaro and winning the World Heavyweight title. But now we'll see what Bryan does up next on coming episodes of Breakdown. Following Daniel Bryan, we have Mr. Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins won the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 3, defeating guys like Finn Balor, John Cena, and a huge ladder match. Sting was in there as well. It's a bunch of guys in the Money in the Bank ladder match that we'll get to later. But Rollins won the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 3, meaning, of course, you guys know Money in the Bank, you get a title shot whenever you want to cash it in. So Rollins obviously has a lot to look forward to with that briefcase. He made his debut for Breakdown all the way back after WrestleMania 2 when the original roster was drafted, and he has been on the cusp of greatness ever since. He's come close to championships and big victories before, and this Money in the Bank contract could be the key for Seth Rollins to get some big time success. Up next we have Cody Rhodes, and as mentioned, Cody has been probably the biggest opponent of the Heenan family thus far. The Heenan family just trying to basically take over Breakdown with their philosophy that money and championships is all that really matters in wrestling, whereas Cody Rhodes, being the good guy, wants to fight against that, and so he has had many run-ins with the Heenan family, with the biggest one being at WrestleMania 3, where he led his team of Dolph Ziggler and Dustin Rhodes against the Heenan family. Unfortunately though, the Heenan family defeated them, with Cody Rhodes being pinned by Drew McIntyre. McIntyre, of course, joined the Heenan family by turning on Cody Rhodes in a shock twist, giving him a Claymore kick, and joining the family. So now Cody Rhodes, after WrestleMania, he lost to the Heenan family, but now the Heenan family, bigger and stronger than ever. We will see what Cody does to continue to fight them. Up next we have Finn Balor. Now Balor made his debut in PTW at the Royal Rumble, where he had a really good showing, and since then he has just been a rising star in PTW on Breakdown. He's challenged for the World Heavyweight Championship at Homecoming, came up short, but he put everybody on notice in that match that Finn Balor was here to stay on the blue brand as a big time player. At WrestleMania he was in the Money in the Bank ladder match and nearly won it, but came up short. But still, Finn Balor, he's got a lot of potential and a lot to look forward to on Breakdown. Up next, the Samoan submission machine, Samoa Joe. Joe has had some big time success on the Breakdown roster. He was the brand's first ever World Heavyweight Champion before he lost that title to Cesaro at Armageddon when he cashed in his Money in the Bank contract. Now Joe, since losing the championship, he has been on a path to get it back. That includes challenging Cesaro in what was an excellent match at Royal Rumble 2, but he was unsuccessful in getting the title. And he also, at WrestleMania 3, fought Kane, where again, Joe was unsuccessful. So Samoa Joe, still a guy with one of the best records on Breakdown, but has lately suffered some losses on the big events. So we'll see how Samoa Joe responds when the episodes return. Next is Dolph Ziggler. Now Ziggler, of course, as mentioned, was a part of that 6-man tag match teaming with Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 3, where they were unsuccessful against the Heenan family. But Ziggler's also had some other success on Breakdown. He is a former Intercontinental Champion, and since arriving on the blue brand, he's been trying to push past that Intercontinental Championship scene and into the main event. But now this rivalry with the Heenan family picking up, we'll see what he and Cody Rhodes do after WrestleMania to try and stop them. Next, the final member of that trios match at WrestleMania 3, Dustin Rhodes. Now Dustin Rhodes, we have not seen him very much in PTW At WrestleMania 3, his entrance in that match was a surprise as he was a mystery opponent. Of course, Cody went and got his brother to join him in that 6-man match. They were unsuccessful, of course, but still Dustin Rhodes now back in PTW and a member of the Breakdown roster. We've seen him in slight cameos in the past as Goldust, but now Dustin Rhodes is here on Breakdown. And up next we have got the Demon Kane. Kane, also another guy who made his return at the Royal Rumble. His return wasn't in the Rumble match, but regardless, it was a huge return. And since being back in PTW, Kane, with the new look, with the classic mask and attire, he has just been on a rampage. No real motive found for him yet. He has been silent, but just attacking constantly. You do not want to get in Kane's way. And Samoa Joe found that out at WrestleMania 3, when in an excellent back and forth match, but in the end Kane defeated Samoa Joe with a tombstone pile driver. And we'll see what that big victory means for Kane and his path going forward on Breakdown. Next, another new entry to the blue brand. It is the Limitless Keith Lee. Keith Lee made his debut right before WrestleMania 3 in a Money in the Bank qualifier, where he qualified for the ladder match by defeating Wade Barrett. In that ladder match, he made some huge, awesome impact moments, some huge dives, a huge spirit bomb through a ladder. But unfortunately for Lee, he was unable to get that briefcase. But still, Lee, new to the Breakdown roster, a lot of guys he'd like to face, a lot of potential big-time matchups in the future for Keith Lee, and we'll see what the future holds for him. Now it's the former Intercontinental Champion, Rob Van Dam. Many thought RVD was going to go into WrestleMania 3 defending his Intercontinental title like he'd done at other pay-per-views before, but he lost that title in a surprise to Andrade in the main event of an episode of Breakdown. But now Rob Van Dam, he could not get back the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania 3, but now after WrestleMania 3, he's got a bit of interesting path in front of him with his former best friend Apollo Crews. Of course, Van Dam and Crews, many thought the two friends would battle for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania, but of course Andrade came in and won the title, which made for a triple threat match. And then during that match, the tensions between Apollo and RVD were on the rise, so many not too sure about what the friendship means going forward. But we do know Rob Van Dam and his high-flying style will continue to entertain on Breakdown. Up next, we have Baron Corbin. He is another former Intercontinental Champion, and on Breakdown, since losing the Intercontinental Championship to RVD, who then lost it to Andrade, Corbin has been kind of in a bit of an interesting spot where he has been also going for the Intercontinental title, but also trying to get into the main event scene. He was not on the card at WrestleMania 3 because he lost his Money in the Bank qualifier, but now all these new stars showing up on Breakdown. We'll see what Baron Corbin can do to keep his name high on the card. Up next, another man who was a part of that triple threat Intercontinental Championship match, Apollo Crews. And Apollo Crews, in that match, we saw his friendship with Rob Van Dam slowly worsen and possibly corrupt as the two came to blows in that match, with many believing Apollo Crews turned on his friend Rob Van Dam when the championship got in the way of their friendship. We'll see what the future holds for RVD and Apollo Crews on Breakdown, and if their friendship can ever be repaired. Next, we have another instance where it is kind of a tag team, kind of not, where it's, as you guys know, tag teams and women's superstars can go on both brands. But in the case of these guys, the Awesome Truth, Miz and R-Truth, they were two singles guys who formed a team, a unit, the Awesome Truth, driven to cause chaos on the blue brand to get themselves more opportunities. They tried challenging for the Intercontinental title in the past and were unsuccessful. But The Miz and R-Truth, the Awesome Truth, both guys who have been in PTW for a while, and now as a unit, as a tag team, they can go on both brands if they want. But of course, they were both originally drafted to Breakdown all the way back, so they are a bit more aligned to the blue brand Breakdown. But of course, as a team, they can go on both brands. I explained this all in the Brutality roster video, but you guys get it. The Awesome Truth are a unit on Breakdown. We're starting to get to the tail end of this roster now, and up next we have the high-flying Evan Bourne. Now, Evan Bourne has been obviously a high flyer, a very entertaining superstar. Hasn't had much single success on Breakdown in a while, but of course we know Evan Bourne, always entertaining, and you never know, with a time after WrestleMania 3, a lot of opportunities in the future. Maybe a guy like Evan Bourne can find a big moment to break out. And up next is another duo. And this one, a bit of a comedy duo. It is Damien Sandow and Jake Hager. I'm going to hold on because he looks like he's going to fall over. But Sandow and Hager, a bit of a comedy team on Breakdown, where Sandow kept trying and trying to recruit people to join him and his intellectual savior of the masses gimmick. And no one kept joining him. It was kind of a dumb comedy bit where he would try to get someone to join him and then they beat him up. It happened with guys like Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, just guys beating up Sandow. It was funny, good comedy bit. But eventually Jake Hager ended up joining him. And this is a bit of a callback to back when he was Jack Swagger in PTW and was part of a tag team with Damien Sandow. Of course, that team ended up breaking up as I got rid of that Jack Swagger figure. But now with Jake Hager, we put them back together as a comedy duo, comedy heel duo on Breakdown. Very fun. I've always been kind of a Sandow fan. At least I've been a fan of his gimmick of just being smarter than everyone. I think it's always good to have a funny undercard comedy gimmick on a show. I think it just kind of adds some stuff to it. Like, you could watch this show and say, why is Damien Sandow here? And you could probably say that with a lot of guys that are just nostalgia jobbers from my childhood, basically. But I don't know, it's a fun little comedy duo on Breakdown. Lastly, for the Breakdown roster, we have the big guy Ryback. He hasn't had much success on the blue brand, but you never know, maybe something could happen for him eventually. He's been in PTW for a long time, and he is the final superstar on the Breakdown roster. That does it for this roster video. We had a roster breakdown for Brutality, and now we're doing a roster breakdown for Breakdown. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoy the roster as well. We got a lot of guys with a lot of things to prove coming out of WrestleMania 3, with future episodes coming that we hope you all can tune into. I am probably going to make a roster video in the future on just the tag teams and the women's division, since they are not confined to a brand, but it would be good to just go over them as well. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, this roster breakdown for Breakdown, and I'll see you all later.